Alrighty, what is already Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star guide, and today I'm going to be providing a full build guide on the 4-star character Guinaifen. Guinaifen recently was free in the Hanno's Prison Break event that came out with the 2.0 update, and Guinaifen has been seeing a lot of free-to-plays used just in general on the dot team. She's a very powerful unit, and especially with the upcoming release of the character Acheron, Guinaifen is a fantastic option to run with Acheron. I do have tons of videos already talking about Acheron that you could check out on my channel already, but today pretty much I'm going to be going over her kit, her best lightcones, best relic stats, and all that good stuff. Before I get into the video, if you guys say drop a sub and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with other types of guides, Star news, summons, showcases, all that good stuff, and let's get straight into the video. So Guinaifen is a fire type character that follows the path of nihility. Her basic attack deals fire damage equal to 100% of Guinaifen's attack to a single enemy. Her skill deals fire damage equal to 120% of Guinaifen's attack to a single enemy, and fire damage equal to 40% of Guinaifen's attack to any adjacent enemies, with a 100% base chance to burn the target and adjacent targets. So yeah, as it does say here, burn, so Guinaifen is a really good dot character as I mentioned previously, and burn also does count as again dot, and dot is considered a debuff, so that also does make it to where she's good with Acheron. When burned, enemies will take fire dot equal to 218% of Guinaifen's attack at the beginning of each turn, lasting for 2 turns. Her ultimate deals fire damage equal to 120% of Guinaifen's attack to all enemies. Then their burn status immediately produces damage equal to 92% of their original damage. So if they do have burn that you have inflicted with the skill or something like that, with her ultimate, it will proc immediately. Her talent: when Guinaifen is on the field, there's a 100% base chance to inflict Fire Kiss to the enemy after their burn status causes damage. While inflicted with Fire Kiss, the enemy receives 7% increased damage, which lasts for 3 turns. It can stack up to 3 times, so that would go up to 21% increased damage taken. So this benefits the dot team. They will take more damage from the dots, just the initial hits, all of that. It will also benefit Acheron because, one, you're getting debuffs for Acheron's ult, and you're also inflicting them with the Fire Kiss that makes them take more damage, so someone like Acheron can hit even harder. Her technique immediately attacks the enemy after entering battle, deals damage for 4 times, dealing fire damage equal to 50% of Guinaifen's attack to a random single enemy target each time, with a 100% base chance of inflicting Fire Kiss on them. Her bonus ability deals 20% more damage to burn enemies. Second one, when the battle begins, Guinaifen's action is advanced forward by 25%. And third one, basic attack has 80% base chance of inflicting an enemy with burn, equivalent to that of the skill. So with this one, you can use a basic attack to be a little more skill point positive when you are running it with someone like Acheron. If you don't have enough skill points to use with this bonus ability, you don't need to use a skill, and you could use her basic attack, and if it does proc the burn, you get the debuff. Acheron gets an ult charge. Moving on to her eidolon. Her first one, when skill is used, there's a 100% base chance to reduce the attack target enemy's effect res by 10% for 2 turns. Second one, when an enemy target is being burned, the damage multiplier of the burn status applied by her basic attack or skill increases by 40%. Fourth one, every time the burn status inflicted by Guinaifen causes damage, Guinaifen regenerates 2 energy. And her final dupe, 6 eidolon increases the stackable Fire Kiss count by 1. So that means now instead of stacking up to 3 times, it can stack up to 4 times, obviously meaning a 7% bonus. And if you do have E6, you'd also have the talent level up, so Fire Kiss would do a little more over 7. So add that all together and you get a pretty hefty damage increase. Since you do see with her skill being a dot character, being able to inflict debuffs, being able to inflict Fire Kiss, making the enemies take more damage, Guinaifen is fantastic on the dot team, fantastic with Acheron, fantastic with a lot of synergies that you can use. Really good free-to-play option, really good option for people that are not free-to-play. She's just a really great character overall. She's also one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, so there's that too. Moving on to her best light cones, Guinaifen's best light cone will be Good Night and Sleep Well, and what this light cone does is for every debuff the target enemy has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%, stacking up to 3 times, and also applies to dot. This is really good for her because, again, in most cases you'll be running her on a dot team or with Acheron, and with Acheron you'll most likely have another debuffer on the team, and having all the dot characters apply their debuffs because it's considered, it'd be really easy to get the 3 times stack. Same with on Acheron's team, inflicting debuffs would be really easy because you have another person, and Guinaifen herself inflicts debuffs, so building this up is really easy. And the damage increase goes from 12 all the way to 24% at R5. Being able to stack up to 3 times at R5 means you get a 72% damage increase, making Guinaifen do a ton of damage on her own. So being able to apply dots, being able to do good damage on her own, overall it makes her a very valuable character, and she is very strong with this light cone. Another really good option is the Eyes of the Prey, and what it does is increases the wearer's effect hit rate by 20% and increases dot by 24%. So again, as it says, effect hit rate is a very important step for dot characters because you obviously want the dot effect to actually land, and with effect hit rate that does help. And again, the dot increased damage by 24% is nice, and at R5 it becomes 40% effect hit rate and you get a dot increase by 48%. So this light cone, even at R1, is already good, and at R5 it is really good for her. It It isn't better than Good Night and Sleep Well, but it's a really good option that a lot of people do have. So if you do have this and you don't have Good Night and Sleep Well, this is another really good option. And another option I just kind of want to throw in there that you can use, but you most likely would have this on a Kafka of your own. But it's an option if you want. Kafka Signature Lightcone. So you get a damage increase by 24%, and every attack that is launched by the wearer, their speed increases by 4.8%, stacking up to 3 times. So getting a damage increase and a speed increase, really good. Second part is just, if they're not afflicted by a road, there's 100% base chance to inflict a road to the target if you attack them. And when they are afflicted with a road, they'll be considered to be shocked and receive lightning dot equal to 60% of the wearer's attack, lasting for 1 turn. So this part is like whatever, I guess you have an extra stack on them, but for the most part you'll probably have this on your Kafka if you have it, because I don't know why you'd have this if you don't have Kafka already. But if you have no other option, you just want to use this letter, it is still a really strong option letter, so you can go ahead and do that. Another good option is Welt's Signature Lightcone in the Name of the World. What it does is increases the wearer's damage to debuff enemies by 24%, which for the most case, if you're using Guinaifen, they will most likely always be debuffed. So having a 24% damage increase is obviously very nice. And when the wearer uses this skill, the effect hit rate for this attack increases by 18% and attack increases by 24%. But for the most part, you always using her skill if you can. This giving her more effect hit rate to hit the threshold that you want, and getting attack increase for that. Overall, very solid option. Definitely would recommend if you don't have any of the other options. Obviously not top priority, but it is still a really strong option. Now another strong option is the recent Lightcone that got added that you can get for free, called It's Showtime. What this Lightcone does is when the wearer inflicts a debuff on an enemy, gains a stack of Trick. Every stack of Trick increases the wearer's damage dealt by 6%, stacking up to 3 times. Effect lasts for 1 turn, and when your effect hit rate reaches 80% or higher, increases attack by 20%. And at R5, that becomes a 10% damage increase, stacking up to 3 times, and the attack increase for 80% or higher effect hit rate becomes 36%. With this one, you would need more than recommended effect hit rate. I will get into the recommended effect hit rate a little later in this video. This is sort of higher than what you would want, but it is still relatively achievable, and this does become a good Lightcone if you can hit the 80%. If you can't hit 80%, the value of this Lightcone does significantly decrease, but it is still an option you can use. Moving on to her best relics, the best relic set will be the dot set for her. And pretty much what it does is the 2-piece increases the attack by 12%, and 4-piece for every dot the target enemy is afflicted with, the wearer will ignore 6% of defense when dealing damage to it, and is valid for a maximum of 3 dots. For the most part, if you are building her to use with Acheron, or if you're building her on the dot team, this is the best one. With Acheron, it's still the best one. This overall is just going to be your best one. There's no specific sets you really want to run on her if you're running her purely for Acheron, because you still want to build her with DPS so she still does damage. She is best built as a dot DPS. That is her main role, and she does really good with it. Another good option you can do is the 2-piece fire set and 2-piece musketeers. I don't recommend doing 4-piece for either of these, especially not the 4-piece fire, because this 4-piece is really bad. Pretty much the 2-piece on the fire set increases fire damage by 10%, and the 2-piece on the musketeer increases attack by 12%. So having a 12% increase to attack and having a 10% increase to fire damage, both of these will help you, because dot characters do scale out their attack. Everyone that's a DPS does better with more attack, and especially dot characters where they don't really care about crit. Attack would be beneficial here, and the fire damage obviously would increase any fire damage you do, which that's her whole thing. She inflicts fire damage, so overall this set is really good. Both of these as a 2-set is a really good option. But again, mostly prioritize getting 4-piece on the dot set, if not 2-piece fire set and 2-piece musketeers. Moving on to her best planar ornaments, the best planar ornament for her will be Glamoth. Whether you can get 135 speed or 160 speed, it will be the best one. What Glamoth does is increases the wearer's attack by 12%, and when the wearer's speed is equal to or higher than 135/160, the wearer deals 12%/18% more damage. So again, as I mentioned, regardless if you have 135 speed getting the 12% damage increase or 160 getting the 18%, this will be her best set overall. Another really good option with her is the effect hit rate set. What it does is increases the wearer's effect hit rate by 10%. Meanwhile, the wearer's attack increases by an amount that is equal to 25% of the current effect hit rate up to a maximum of 25%. If you can't get the full effect from the planar ornament, this is definitely a close option, but again, Glamoth even with 135 speed is slightly better. But again, if you have a good piece for this, it is completely fine. And the third best set will just be Space Sailing Station. This is a go-to for any form of DPS, it's just a nice set to have. What it does is increase the wearer's attack by 12%, and when the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, the wearer's attack increases by an extra 12%. If you do have pieces like this laying around and you don't have any good pieces for either of these, this is still a good option and you should go ahead and use it if you can. But again, Glamoth at 135 or 160, this will be the best set. Second place, the effect hit rate set, and third is the Space Sailing Station. Now as for the main stats, the body will be either affect hit rate or attack percent. If you can get up to a recommended amount of around 65% affect hit rate, then you can go ahead and safely use a attack percent body piece, but if you can't, I would recommend doing the effect hit rate body. For the feet, doing speed is recommended because you want your Guinaifen to be fast. For the planar ornaments, you can do fire damage or attack percent, either or is fine, and for the link rope, attack percent. For the substats, you want to prioritize effect hit rate until around 65%, preferably up to 70. If you are using the Itch Showtime Lightcone, you obviously want to get a little above 80, but around 65 to 70% is going to be your best if you're not using that Lightcone. Followed by effect hit rate is speed, especially if you are using Glamoth, you want to get her to minimum 135, and if you can, 160. And followed by that is attack percent, because Doc character, everyone does better with attack, especially Doc characters, so attack percent is nice. And anything after that is just your survivability, HP, defense, all that kind of stuff. But mainly, you want to prioritize, again, effect hit rate until around 65 to 70. Again, 80 if you're using It's Showtime. Then speed to 135 if you're using Glamoth, but you still want to get up to 134 for the breakpoint, at least no matter what set you're using. And then attack percent, getting anywhere from 3000 to 4000 attack is nice. And yeah, that was the full build guide for Guinaifen. Again, Guinaifen is a fantastic overall character, being really good on the Doc team, and also being very good with Acheron. So let me know if you guys are building her or have her built, if you guys found this guide helpful, because again, personally, I love Guinaifen. She is one of my favorite characters in the story. She is just a funny character, and I just love Guinaifen. I'm also the guy that spent a unfathomable amount of money to try to E6 her on the Black Swan banner and did not get her E6, so that was tragic. And hey, if you watched this far, comment your favorite Dark Souls 3 weapon. Yeah, I did Elden Ring last time, let's do Dark Souls 3 this time. Anyway, peace out.